From the moment you hold a tiny, coppery disc minted in 1979, something unexpected happens. Within that seemingly unremarkable piece lies a story spanning decades, of artistry, of economics, of subtle shifts in taste, and even of treasure waiting to be discovered. Picture this: it's 1979, a time of disco beats and shoulder pads, when Americans carried the rhythm of change in their wallets. In the midst of this vibrant era comes the humble Roosevelt penny, struck in Denver's D-Mint, a small emblem of everyday commerce with a striking potential you may never have guessed. Imagine the day someone at the Denver Mint slid that copper coin into a hopper alongside thousands of others. They didn't know it then, but that coin would survive, unchanged, for nearly half a century, only to resurface, gleaming under a collector's loupe, commanding the impressive value of $167. It's a far cry from ordinary loose change, it's a portal to history. Let's rewind. The year is 1979. Jimmy Carter is president, the nation grapples with inflation, and the U.S. Mint faces rising metal costs. The penny's composition had already shifted decades prior, from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc core in 1962, and in '79 that new composition is standard. Yet even though the composition is consistent, slight variations in design and minting remain: depth of strike, luster, and minor die characteristics. These subtleties are crucial for collectors chasing brilliance and rarity. Our story focuses on a specific variant, the 1979 D. Not hidden on a brown paper roll or buried in a dusty drawer, but perfectly preserved, circulated lightly, strike strong, eye appeal high. The obverse features Franklin Delano Roosevelt's profile, facing right. It's detailed and dignified, with shadows accentuating his finely sculpted cheek and the curl of his hair. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak sprout stand for peace, hope, and strength, symbols shaped by a sculptor's tools and cast into everyday currency. But what elevates certain 1979 D pennies, and what eventually brings one to be worth $167, is a combination of excellent strike, pristine fields, and brilliant luster. Let's walk through how that unfolds. When the dies are fresh, coins come out bold and well-defined, the lettering is crisp, the portrait fully detailed. Over time, dies become worn, strike weakens, the surface texture dulls. So coins minted at the start of production strikes, especially on the Denver press in '79, are often sharper, more desirable. That chest of minting just begot rarities. Among those thousands and thousands of pennies emerging that year, a small percentage stood out: sharp rims, smooth fields, strong bust detail. A few days later, the coins listed on a reputable auction platform. The listing features crisp photos, vivid red fields, frosted devices, mirrored surfaces reflecting camera light. The description narrates its story: Denver strike, early die state, brilliant red, certified MS67RD, phenomenal eye appeal. Collectors around the world click add to watch list. A bidding war ensues. Phone bidders, online bidders, they all compete. And that final price of $167 is struck, but let's break that down in value terms. At face value, 1 cent. The melt value might only be a fraction of a cent. Yet this coin commands $1.67 worth of coins, or $167, depending on whether you see it as 167 times a cent or 16,700 times. It's surreal. It shows the power of collectors and the stories that coins tell. A humble piece of pocket change becomes a silent ambassador of history, preservation, and human passion for small things made grand. Let's also pause to consider how this coin reflects broader numismatic trends. In recent years, there's been growing interest in modern copper pennies, post-1964, especially those in mint state that retain original mint brilliance and red coloration. It's likely tied to millennials and Gen Z engaging in collecting, drawn to affordable entry point coins with surprising upside. A 1979 D penny runs a few bucks in MS65RD, but vaults in value as it climbs higher. That $167 price signals that the market acknowledges quality, Even in what feels mundane, our journey started with a tiny, everyday coin from a routine mint run in Denver, 1979. We traced its birth, qualities, survival, rediscovery, certification, and the whirlwind path to a $167 sale. Along the way, we met aspects of numismatics, composition, die state, grade, color designation, market forces, collector psychology. We saw how small differences in condition and appeal translate into big differences in value. We connected the economic context of 1979 to the present collector demand. We met a coin that was everywhere, and now is one of the few to exit the everyday unnoticed and emerge as a prized piece. As our tale closes, picture that collector. They smile, they may reinvest, or perhaps they pass the coin to the next eager hands. And the story continues. This coin may appear in another collection, another auction, another discovery. Its value may rise, or fluctuate as trends shift. But what won't change is its story, a 1979 D. Roosevelt penny, minted quietly in Denver, preserved brilliantly, certified with care, and commanding $167, a testament to what can happen when history, quality, and collector passion meet. They say that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest value, not just in dollars and cents, but in history, legacy, and mystery. Take for instance the humble 1-cent coin. A coin that many of us walk past on the sidewalk, that gets lost in couch cushions, or sits in jars collecting dust. But what if I told you that one such penny from the year 2000, bearing the D. mint mark, could be worth up to $157 today? Sounds hard to believe, right? But that's the fascinating journey we're about to take, into the story of the 2000 USA 1-cent Roosevelt Mint Mark D coin. Now, before we go deep into what makes this specific coin so special, let's rewind the clock just a bit and take a look at the world in the year 2000. It was the dawn of a new millennium. Y2K fears had just passed. The internet was becoming a household necessity. Cell phones were evolving quickly. And yet, in the US Mint, traditions held strong. Pennies were still being struck in massive numbers, billions of them in fact. But among these billions, a few special pieces were destined to stand out, not because of precious metals or elaborate designs, but because of subtle details, rare variations, and the stories they would eventually tell. Now, here's where the plot thickens. While the year 2000 saw the production of over 8 billion Lincoln cents across all U.S. mints, the Denver Mint was responsible for roughly 5.5 billion of them. That's right, billions with a B. With numbers like that, you'd expect every single 2000 D penny to be common, unremarkable, and practically worthless beyond its face value. But here's the golden rule of coin collecting: rarity doesn't always come from how many coins were made. Sometimes, it comes from what happened during the minting process, or what errors or anomalies slipped through the cracks. Most pennies enter circulation immediately, getting scratched, worn, and dulled by time. But a small fraction remains untouched, uncirculated, mint-state coins with a shine and luster that collectors dream about. These high-grade coins, especially those that score a 67 or above on the Sheldon grading scale, are exceedingly rare. Combine that condition with a recognized minting anomaly or die variety, and suddenly, a coin that once jingled in your pocket could be worth a small fortune. This brings us to the star of our show, a particular 2000 D Lincoln penny that fetched an incredible $157 on the collector's market. At first glance, it looked like any other penny. But this one was different. It had been preserved in exceptional condition, likely never circulated, and carefully graded by a professional service. Its surface shimmered with the red luster that experts refer to as RD, indicating a coin that still retained its original copper color without fading into brown. And upon closer inspection, the coin also exhibited a minor but certified die variety, making it highly desirable to error coin collectors. It's these subtle combinations: mint state condition, brilliant red coloring, possible die doubling or mint error, and collector demand, that transform an ordinary-looking penny into a sought-after prize. The market, driven by competitive bidding, ultimately decided its value, $157. And for a coin that cost just a cent to make, that's an astronomical return on investment. But even if your penny isn't worth hundreds, there's still joy to be found in collecting. The world of coins is one of stories, history, and tiny treasures. Each piece carries with it a piece of the past, a moment frozen in metal. And coins like the 2000 Lincoln cent remind us that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary stories. That it's also worth mentioning the social and cultural impact that coins like this have. In a world increasingly dominated by digital transactions and cashless payments, physical currency is slowly becoming a relic. Yet, coins like the 2000 penny endure, not just as money, but as collectibles, as art, and as keepsakes of a time gone by. There's something profoundly human about holding a coin that's passed through countless hands, survived decades, and still holds meaning today. So the next time you come across a penny, don't toss it aside. Look closer. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. There's a chance, however small, that you might be holding a miniature masterpiece worth far more than you ever imagined. The 2000 Lincoln penny is proof that sometimes, the smallest change can change everything. And as we wrap up this journey into the world of coins, let's return to where we began, with a single cent, born in the Denver Mint, struck with precision, and saved from obscurity by a keen-eyed collector. That coin, preserved in brilliance, carrying the legacy of Lincoln, and marked with the now famous D, ultimately sold for $157, a reminder that in the world of numismatics, value is never just about what something costs. It's about what it represents. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more hidden gems in your pocket change, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more fascinating coin tales, and hit that bell so you never miss a treasure hunting opportunity. Who knows? The next valuable coin could be hiding in your very own wallet. Thanks for watching, and remember, every coin has a story. What story will you discover next?